Things set up here. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I am so excited for the opportunity to talk to you about how to successfully coordinate your speech contests. The first thing I want to do is give you some recommended reading. Just in case you fall asleep and you hear nothing else that I say this evening, you'll know where to find all of the answers. The pamphlet on the left is the Toastmasters International Speech Contest Rulebook. Everything you need to know about performing or conducting a speech contest, you can find in this guide. On the right is the online speech contest best practices that Toastmasters put together. And that will answer the questions that you may have if you are hosting a virtual or a hybrid contest. The guide on the right is only about 10 pages long. It is worth a read just for conducting meetings online and in a hybrid manner. So I highly recommend that you take a look at both of these pamphlets. As Rhonda said, this training was set for club officers. With that in mind, I set the agenda to take into account that there's probably at least one of you who has either never participated in a speech contest, either as a contestant or as a planner or an official. And there may even be some of you who have no idea what a speech contest even is. So I'm going to cover a lot of the basics. Here's the agenda for this evening. I'm going to start with talking about the contest, which contest the District 38 is offering, and the schedule that they will be offered. I'm then going to take a look at the official contest roles for hosting a Toastmaster speech contest. We're going to look at the eligibility requirements for contestants and contest officials alike. I'll take a look at the process for planning and executing your speech contest from pre-contest, during the contest, to post-contest. We'll touch upon protests and disqualifications. We'll take a look at timing for the speech contest and some special considerations that you need to take into account. And then I'll wrap it up with some online best practices and tips. Throughout the meeting, if you have a question, please feel free to type it in the chat. And Rhonda, if it is important, because I actually cannot see the chat, please feel free to chime in and we can answer the question then. District 38 speech contest. Wow, this is the most exciting time of the Toastmasters year. This is the time of the year when those of us who have just a little bit, maybe a lot of competitiveness, can test our public speaking skills against others in our clubs, in our areas, divisions, district, and even against Toastmasters around the world if we should progress that far.
Paula, if I can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yes.
Do you want to test people now or later?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes, let us pause. Rhonda, I forgot about that. I'm going to stop the share and allow you to share the Kahoots game.
Okay. All right, so Paula wanted to test your knowledge of speech contests with this simple quiz. So hopefully you all can play along. So this is a Kahoot game. It's a questionnaire, 10 questions, and we want to see who knows all about speech contests. So if you would indulge us by either going to different browser window, or maybe using another mobile device, you can scan the QR code. Hey, Greg has joined us already. And Ashley, use the QR code or the game pin number. And let's see who knows all about speech contests. And I see Young May's name. I want to acknowledge our training coordinator, Young May. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Sure, Rhonda.
There
Hi,
you
everybody.
are.
Hi, Paula.
Hi, Hi, young man.
Young May is the person behind the scenes pulling all of this content together. So thank you so very much. We'll give it another few seconds to allow other people to join. And then we'll get started. Is anyone having trouble joining? Okay, about 10 more seconds. What's that?
Okay. Yeah, my scanner's not working.
Are you able to go to kahoot.it and then put in the pin?
Yeah, I'm having trouble trying to get in
Okay.
from where I'm at.
So Jeanette, if you can't get in, because I do want to start the game and
Sure. Yeah, you
respect
can
for
go ahead
time.
then.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand.
All right, follow along.
I'll just follow
And
along.
score,
That's fine.
yeah, and score yourself.
Yeah,
Okay.
normally I would have, but I just was surprised my QR code wasn't working.
Okay, no problem. All right, here we are. We're going to start now. The whole object is to get the right answer, but also to get it quickly. So this gives you extra points for being quick. Here's question 1. What contest does Toastmasters International require of all districts? I see most people got that one right. International Speech Contest. Very good. Let's see what the leaderboard says. And for those who did not get that correct, now you know that the International Speech Contest is required by all districts. So I see Jeff and Andrea and Jen and LB and Anun, excuse me, in the leaderboard. Let's go to question number 2. How can a Toastmasters club advance a winner to the area level contest? "16 people. Yes, hold an official Toastmaster contest is absolutely correct. So is select a member to represent the club, draw names from a hat. The reality is at the club level, the person or persons that advance to the area level contest can be chosen by any means that the club decides. And Paula, feel free to add context and color to what I'm stating.
Actually, what's in here I will cover during the
Okay.
presentation.
Okay,
So, yeah.
perfect, perfect. Okay, so let's advance. I know this is surprising to many of you, but obviously not 16 of you who got the right answer. So let's see the standings. Andrea moves up, then LB, Jeff, PJC joined the leaderboard as well as Rajesh. Good job. Number 3. Any paid Toastmasters member can compete in the international speech contest. True or false? Yes, that is false. Not only do you have to be a paid member, but you have some speech requirements. I believe for pathways, you have to have completed 2 levels. Paula, please keep me honest.
I'll tell them during the
Okay.
presentation.
Okay. So if you got that false, the 8 of you, put a pin in that and Paula will disclose the answer during her presentation. See the leaderboard. Oh, Jeff is on a winning streak and Rajesh Ashti and Greg Ludwig is back on the leaderboard. Let's go to question number 4. How long can a contestant speak in the international speech contest without being disqualified? "14 of you got this right. The timing is between 5 and 7 minutes. So those that are red, that's the official timing. However, there's 30-second grace period given on the front and on the rear of the speech. So as long as you make it to 4 minutes, 30 seconds, or no more than 7 minutes and 30 seconds. And in the interest of time, I'll speed us along a little bit. So Andrea stays in the lead. Young May, yay, you're on the board there. Art, Brian, and Jeff. Next question, number 5, we're halfway there. Which is not a valid reason for a contestant's disqualification? Yes, 8 of you got the right answer. Speaking outside of the designated speaking area, although it's clearly articulated and defined, the judges have the ability to shave off some points because you went out the speaking area or the contestant did, but it's not a cause for disqualification. All the others are. Let's see the leaderboard. Andrea stays locked in position number 1. Brian moves up. Sesha, Ashley, and Young May move down a bit, but still on the leaderboard. Next question. John is a member of districts 18 and 38 clubs. Can John compete in an area level international speech contest in both districts? And the answer is no. 11 of you are so incredibly wise. I didn't know this until doing some research, until Paula and I discussed this. So this was news to me. So no, you can only compete at the area level in one district. Surprising. Andrea stays at the top of the leaderboard. Welcome Art, Brian, Anoon, and Jen S. Next question. The setting up of props is limited to the 1 minute of silence prior to the contestant's speech. True or false? It is absolutely true, and we did not pull the wool over your eyes. 27 of you got that correct. We'll see the leaderboard now. Andrea and Art stays in position and Noon moves up, Janice and Brian. Next question, almost there. If a contestant becomes ineligible during any level of competition, he or she can proceed if the ineligibility is corrected. True or false? Almost split down the middle, and it is false. When a person is determined, a contestant is determined to be ineligible, they can no longer proceed, and that's during the course of this contest season. Again, let's see what the leaderboard looks like now. Andrea stays in position, Jen is moving up, and Noon is moving up, Sesha and Brian H. Question number 9. Any paid Toastmasters member of a club in good standing can compete in the Tall Tales speech contest. True or false? That is absolutely true. The only requirement is that you are a paid member of a club in good standing. Here's the leaderboard. That's surprising, but it stayed intact. Last question. Where should speech contest forms be downloaded? And it is the Toastmasters International website. Although you may find them on the District 38 website, actually it links back to the international site. On the internet, that's not stable. So it's not all of the above. It is Toastmasters International. That's our source of truth. So let's see what the leaderboard looks like for our 2023 speech contest quiz. Congrats, Sesha, for your 3rd place, and Jen S for 2nd place. And Andrea, congratulations for 1st place. Runners up, Art and the Noon. Great job. I will stop my share and return the meeting back over to Paula.
Thank you very much. Great job, everybody. And we will discuss all of those except for the last one in the presentation. Let me reshare. And we're going to go ahead. I already made it to you. So as you learned in the Cahoots quiz, the International Speech Contest is the only contest that Toastmasters International requires being conducted in the 126 districts worldwide. This is the contest where the world champion of public speaking will be crowned from. Speaking of the world champion of public speaking, the picture in the left corner is our reigning world champion of public speaking, Cyril Jr. Dim. If you have not had the opportunity to observe his speech, I suggest that you do an internet search, simply World Champion of Public Speaking 2022, or you can go to the Toastmasters International website and you can see his speech. It'll give you a good idea of what a world champion of public speaking's speech, a winning speech, is like. The second contest that District 38 is offering is the Tall Tales contest. I am so excited to see this contest being conducted. It is one that hasn't been conducted in a very long time. As a matter of fact, I was in a meeting today and I learned that Rhonda Young, our program quality director, created this contest. I had to correct them. Rhonda did not create the contest, but she did dust it off for us to use in this year's competition. So thank you, Rhonda, for that. I'm going to now talk about the International Speech Contest itself. But before I do, I want you to take a moment and look at the watermarked pictures in the background. Those are the 4 previous world champions of public speaking. And I also highly recommend, if you haven't seen their speeches, that you go ahead and take a look, especially if you're planning on either judging the International Speech Contest or if you want to vie to become the next world champion of public speaking or a future one, if not this year. The international speech is a 5 to 7 minute speech. That is the timing. But as you saw in the Kahoots quiz, there's a 30-minute grace period. Not 30 minutes, 30-second grace period on either side of that time limit. So a speaker can speak for a minimum of 4 minutes and 30 seconds to a maximum of 7 minutes and 30 seconds without being disqualified for time. The subject of the speech can be selected is selected by the contestant, and it can be on any topic they want. The type of speech they give they can also select. For example, they could choose to do a humorous speech. They could do a persuasive speech. They may do an informative speech. They may do a call to action speech. Whatever speech they do, they should choose a subject or a topic that they are comfortable presenting, something that they have passion about, because that will allow them to better connect with the audience. And the judges do look to see if you are relating to and connecting with your audience. 25% or less of your speech can be devoted to quotes, paraphrasing, or reference content. If you should use these in your speech, they must be identified in your speech. And I really want you to take notice of this, because this is one of the grounds for disqualification, going over that 25% or not recognizing, identifying that content. A contestant may not reference material from another contestant's speech at the same contest. This too is grounds for disqualification. So please refrain if you're a contestant, and let anyone in your club know that they cannot reference another contestant's speech. All contestants must speak from the same pre-designated area. During the briefings for the contestants and the judges alike, the speaking area will be defined. If you're in person, they may say it's from the wall to the left, to the wall to the right, the wall behind you, to the first row of the audience. That's your speaking area, and you can walk in, conduct your speech from anywhere in that area. Online, it's our little boxes. You want to stay within your box. If you are standing up and giving a speech and the audience can see if the bridge of your nose down, the top of your head is actually out of your speaking area. You will not be disqualified for moving outside of your speaking area, but you will likely lose valuable points from the judges, which will reduce your chances of coming out the winner. So please be mindful of that. You may use props to support or illustrate your speech. As we saw in the Kahoots quiz, you have that 1 minute of silence prior to your speaking to set up your props. And you are responsible, and this is more for in-person contests, that 1 minute of silence you are responsible for setting up your own props. It is not the sergeant at arms responsibility. It is not the contest chair's responsibility. It is your responsibility. In our virtual meetings, that 1 minute of time is a little less important because you can have your props set up while your camera is off and you're listening to every other speaker before you. So that is not a problem. Let's talk about the Tall Tales contest. The Tall Tales contest is a 3 to 5 minute speech. Again, there's a 30-second grace. So a contestant can speak for a minimum of 2 minutes and 30 seconds to a maximum of 5 minutes and 30 seconds without being disqualified on a time basis. The subject must be of a highly exaggerated, improbable nature, and it must have a theme or a plot. I'm hearing a phone ring. Okay, you can use humor or props to support or illustrate your speech. For those of you who are interested in competing in the Tall Tale contest and do not know how to organize or perhaps even more importantly, present that Tall Tales speech, you are in luck because our phenomenal program quality director, Rhonda Young, invited Cheryl Baker from District 29 to come to District 38 and give an information session on Tall Tales. In her session, she talks about how to construct your speech and even equally as important, how to deliver it. And this is a great opportunity for contestants as well as anyone who is interested in serving as a judge, because you have a better idea of what to look for while you're judging. If you have not had the opportunity to either attend or watch the recording of this contest, I highly recommend you do so. It is very informative and it is also very entertaining. Cheryl even includes a video clip of her participating in a Tall Tales speech contest in Las Vegas. And if you are interested, of course, you know, Rhonda has placed it on the district's YouTube channel. Here is the link. And I'm also going to ask Rhonda if she would go ahead and drop that into the chat.
Done, as you were talking. And there was just one question in the chat from Stephanie. What does 25% mean? 25% of the time?
25% of your speaking time. So I guess, what is that? On a 5 to, I can't do math right now, at least not right now. But Rhonda will calculate it for you and drop it in the chat.
Well, that's good. I thought it was the speech content, but so you're saying that 25% of the time.
Well, 25% of your content. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of your content.
Which probably equates to time when you
Time.
think about it.
Yeah, and I would think
Pretty
so.
much aligned. Mm-hmm.
Okay, oops, didn't mean to do that. Okay, I just want to touch on a few points in speech contest policy. Just remind you that contests originate at the club level and the winners will proceed area level, then to division, to district. At the winner of the Tall Tales contest at the district, in District 38 at the district level, will be crowned the District 38 Tall Tales champion, and their journey will end there. For the international speech winner at the district level, they will be crowned the District 38 International Speech Contest champion, but the video recording of their district level competition speech will be forwarded on to the Region 7 contest, where it will be viewed with the other districts from Region 7. If your speech happens to win at the region level, you will advance to the semifinals level, which will be held during the Toastmasters International Convention this August. The convention, I believe, is August 16th through the 19th. Not exactly sure which day the contest is being held. If you win the semifinals, you will proceed to the finals and have the opportunity to compete, to be crowned the 2023 World Champion of Public Speaking. Woo! There's only one every year. Winning that opens up so many doors for you. But let me even add a little icing to that cake. If you make it to the semifinals contest level, Toastmasters International pays for your travel to the convention, which this year is in Nassau, Bahamas. So let's give you a little extra motivation to work even harder if you are a contestant in the International Speech Contest. All clubs in good standing are eligible to advance one contestant to the area level content in each contest. And you notice the word advance is in bold. A club can advance a contestant any way they choose. They can throw all the names in a hat and draw one. They could hold a contest-like event. And a contest-like event is something you'll see some of the smaller clubs hold. And it's basically a contest, but they don't have enough members to fully staff a contest and still have contestants. So what they'll do is if there are 2 or 3 people who want to compete in the contest, each of those 2 or 3 people will stand up, they'll present their speech, and then the remaining members of the club will vote on who wins, who's second place, and who's third place. And then they will advance the winner will advance to the area level contest. And of course, there's always the option of holding an official Toastmasters contest. I highly recommend if you are on, your club is on that 20-ish or more members, that you most definitely hold in an official contest. It will give your contestant that advantage of having competed in a contest, and they know what to look forward to at the next level, and there are really no surprises for them. If you do decide to hold that official contest, you must make sure you abide by the Toastmasters contest rule book. That applies to all official Toastmasters contests. There is one rule in that contest rule book that you can ignore, and that is the one that says each contestant must be physically present to compete beyond the club level. The reason why is that Toastmasters International mandated that districts hold their area, division, or district level contests either purely virtual or in a hybrid format. Here in District 38, our District Executive Committee, or DEC, voted back in October to hold all of the area, division, and district level contests in a virtual format, and they will be held via the Zoom platform. Let's talk about the schedule. I'm going to move a little bit quicker. I think I'm maybe behind. The club level contest, you can hold your contest anytime between now and January 31st. Please complete your contest by January 31st so you can allow your area director to staff their contests, and you'll understand that a little more shortly when you see the requirements for judging. The area level contests will be held in the month of February. The division level contest will be held during the month of March, and the district level contest will be held in sometime between early to mid-April. Rhonda, do we have a date exact date yet?
I don't have that date yet.
Okay. Please to check the district calendar. The web address is below. And there you will find your area, division, and district level contest, and the district level contest when it is scheduled on that calendar. If they're not there currently, check back in a week or so. The directors are still in the process of planning their contests. I'm seeing a lot in the chat. Are there any questions, or is that just chatting?
I've been able to address some of them. We had a question about whether there will be a table topics contest this year, and the answer is no. We opted for the tall tales in addition to the required international speech contest. There was a question and comment about club in good standing. Does that mean 8 paid members? The answer is yes.
Oh, did
To
I not
that-
say that? Oh, sorry.
What happened, Paula?
I said, oh, I didn't mention that. I apologize.
You said in good standing, but you just didn't define good standing, and that's okay because we've clarified that. And then Leslie has a question. Leslie, do you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's for this format or for later, but just listening, if I heard you correctly, you stated that the contest, the area, and district and so forth are going to be presented virtually. So my question is in regard to a club that meets in person, and we have contestants that want to compete, you know, and maybe it's something we have to answer ourselves at a club level. Should that person then give their speech in person or actually have them do it in virtual so that there's the experience? But maybe that's something we have to determine at club level ourselves, I suppose.
Yeah, that's up to the club to decide. You may want to hold the contest virtually just to give them that experience. Either that or hold another meeting and allow them to present their speech, the winner to present their speech virtually so that they can have that comfort level. That's the other option.
Okay. So I kind of answered my question and you answered my question too. So thanks.
And
Great.
Paula, there was just another request, and I think we'll need to move forward, but a request for providing the criteria for the tall tale speech contest. And I'll point you all to some other collateral, or you can look up in the resources that Paula mentioned. I don't think we have time here to go back
No.
to
And
the specific slide.
Yeah, for the tall tale.
Yes.
I can pop back. Okay. What was the question? Oh, and this is in that guide that was on the left, the International Speech Contest Guide. You can find those in there. But what was the specific question that they had?
What's the criteria for the tall tale speech? So I
Oh,
believe it's this slide, the 3
for
to
the
5
contestant?
minutes.
Oh,
Correct.
for the contestant?
Yes.
Oh, I'll get to that when I get to eligibility. Do
Oh,
you mean?
I'm sorry. It was just the slide that you just showed. I think that's sufficient.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes, it is a 3 to 5 minute speech. Okay, where was I? Okay. So let's talk about the contest roles. The first role you want to put into place is your contest chair. They are the person who is going to be responsible for planning, organizing, and successfully, notice I did say successfully, conducting your contest. You notice right next to it the word contest chair, the contest toastmaster. The contest chair can serve as the contest toastmaster, or they can assign someone else to serve as the contest toastmaster while they stay behind the scenes, making sure everything moves forward smoothly. Equally important to your contest chair is your chief judge. The chief judge is going to be responsible for putting together the judging officials. They will, with the help of the contest chair, find voting judges. The voting judges are simply the judges who are going to observe the contestants and then assign them points depending on how well they met the judging criteria. For the club level, the rule book suggests 5 voting judges, but only if practical. If your club cannot support 5 voting judges, do the best that you can. You want the judges to remain anonymous when practical. If you're virtual, it's easy enough. Cameras are off during the contest, and let me mention that during the contest, cameras and microphones of everyone other than the person delivering the speech should be off. So during a virtual contest, it's easy enough to remain anonymous. In person, it's a little more difficult because people can see you writing down filling out your ballot. But do your best, do the best that you can. The voting judge and only the chief judge and only the chief judge will know who the tie-breaking judge is. They will assign one person to serve as the tie-breaking judge, and that person will be known only to them. You need 2 counters or ballot counters. The chief judge will also act as the chief ballot counter because they will be overseeing the counters as they are undertaking their role. You need 2 timers. One timer will operate the signaling device. They will also have their own stopwatch so that they know when to display the different colored signals. The other person will have only a stopwatch. They will be the person who will fill out the timing results form at the end of the contest. And then, let's try that again. Then a contestant interviewer. The contest Toastmaster can serve as the contestant interviewer, or they can assign someone else to undertake that role. Some restrictions for role assignment. A contest official cannot hold more than one role. So you cannot have someone serve as your contest Toastmaster and chief judge, or your contest chair and a judge. Just keep it to one role per person. Some additional support roles. If you're holding your contest virtually, you may want to have a Zoom master or a technical expert or team of experts. They would be in charge of setting up your breakout rooms, making sure that everyone knows how to use the technology, such as pinning the timer, or if you're going to spotlight your speaker. They would also be in charge of monitoring the waiting room. If you should decide to leave your room open without a waiting room, please, before your contest starts, put your waiting room into place. You do not want anyone popping in to the contest late in the middle of someone's speech with their video on, their dog or their child, their dog barking in the background, their child, their neighbor honking the horn. You don't want to disadvantage any of your contestants in that way. So make sure that you do put a waiting room into place. A sergeant at arms. For an in-person, you want to have a sergeant at arms. They should be by the door, again, to keep those latecomers from coming in and interrupting the speaker in the middle of the contestant in the middle of their speech. You also want to make sure people do not get up and walk around or leave in the middle of the contestant's speech. If you And you can also have a sergeant at arms in your virtual meeting. If it's a hybrid, you're going to need a sergeant at arms in your room, in your physical room, as well as a Zoom master or a virtual sergeant at arms in your virtual platform. If you decide to use chat, you might want to have a chat moderator. I would recommend that you limit who can be chatted to. You don't want the audience chatting back and forth during the contestant's speech. Let's talk about eligibility criteria. And I'm not sure if this is part of the question that was being asked, but for contestants, to compete in the Tall Tales contest, you simply need to be a paid member in a club in good standing. And again, a club in good standing is a club that has a minimum of 8 paid members, 3 of whom are renewing members. Please be mindful with this eligibility, especially if you progress from the area level contest to the division level contest, because the dues renewal cycle deadline is April 1st for on-time dues. You want to make sure that not only your dues are paid, but at least 8 members of your club, at least 3 who are renewing, have paid their dues as well. So your club is in good standing. You don't want to be disqualified because your club has not renewed your dues. For the international speech contest, you need to be a paid member in good standing. What else do we need? Somebody want to come off and tell us what other requirement? Is there anybody who would be brave enough? No one? Oh, Shesha, if I pronounced that right. If I didn't, please.
Yes, yes, you got it right, Paula. So I think you need to complete 11 level 1 and level 2 in pathways. Or if you have been a Toastmaster earlier, maybe I think you should have got your distinguished Toastmaster credit in the erstwhile educational program.
Very good. Anybody else? Okay, well, thank you, Sesha. I am so glad that you did not say that you could have a minimum of 6 speeches completed in the competent communication manual of the legacy education system, because that has gone away in terms of contestant eligibility. You need to have certificates of completion, not only just having completed level 1 and 2 in pathways, but you need those certificates of completion. And the reason I want to point this out, because if you have it approved in base camp, you have not earned those certificates of completion. One of your base camp managers needs to enter your completion of the levels into Club Central on the Toastmasters International website in order to have those certificates of completion. So please make sure that is done prior to the area level contest. And of course, if you've earned your DTM in either the Legacy Educational Program or the Pathways Educational Program. This next requirement is applicable to 2 clubs in our district. One is HACC, the Harrisburg Area Community College Toastmasters Club, and the other one is Jefferson Health Toastmasters Club. These clubs both chartered within the last month and a half. Any of their charter members, and notice I highlighted chartered members, are eligible to compete in the International Speech Contest without having met the above requirements. If somebody joined afterwards and are not on that charter member list, they cannot compete. So if you were thinking about joining that HAC club, So you can compete, forget about it. It won't happen. Members of multiple clubs, you saw this in the Cahoots quiz as well. If you are a member in multiple clubs, you can compete at the club level in every single one of those clubs. If you should win in every single one of those clubs, you have to choose one area to compete in. Doesn't matter if it's in a different division or different district, one area worldwide. So make sure you choose the area you wish to compete in. We're going to talk about really quickly who's ineligible to compete. Ooh. Any district officer who is serving currently. That's the top 7, any of the 36 area directors or 8 division directors. Anyone who is a candidate for district director, program quality director, club growth director, or division director for the term beginning on July 1st. And of course, world champions of public speaking can never again compete in the international speech contest. So you don't have to worry about competing against any of them. For the contest officials' eligibility, to serve as a chief judge, voting judge, or tie-breaking judge at the club level, you simply need to be a paid member. I've included area, division, and district level requirements because you may be asked by your area, division, or district level director to serve as a judge. And I want you to understand whether or not you are actually eligible. You need to be a paid member for a minimum of 6 months. You can, if you have completed a minimum of 6 speeches in the Competent Communication Manual or levels 1 and 2 of any path and pathways. Here, the legacy educational system awards that you earned are of value. Remember, not as a contestant, but as a judge. For all of the other contest officials, you simply must be paid members. Ineligible to serve as a contest official are any candidate who is running for an elected district leader position. That's one of the top 3 or a district director. The process. Pre-briefing. The contest chair is responsible for briefing the contestants. They should review the rules. They will review the forms that are collected. That means the certificate of eligibility and originality. When they collect that, they need to, and you can collect them ahead of time. Actually, you should collect them ahead of time. But you need to remind the contestants by signing that form, they are stating that they have read and understand the rules regarding eligibility and originality. Digital signatures are acceptable on these forms, and you want to have them fill out a contestant profile to help the contestant interviewer have a better idea of what to interview them on. You want to also review the timing protocol, making sure they understand that. You're going to acquaint them with the speaking area. And this is the time that you should allow them to test out their lighting, their sound, where they are, and allow them to give them time to set up their speaking area so they know that they are inside that box. Their Zoom box, if it's virtual. You want to hold this briefing ahead of time. If it's in person, yes, you can hold it an hour ahead of the contest because you don't have to worry about those technical issues. But if you're holding your contest virtually or hybrid, you want to hold it, I'd say at least a day before so they can work out any of the glitches that they may have. And you also want to hold your briefing the same way you're going to hold your contest. You are going to determine if there are any special accommodations for somebody who may be hard of seeing or hard of hearing, or any other accommodations that may be needed. You're going to draw for speaking order. How you do that is up to you, but whatever way you decide to do that, make sure you inform the contestants ahead of time so they know exactly what to expect. You don't want to protest over speaking order. You could use, if you're in person, draw names out of a hat. You can use a random name generator, whatever works best for you. You're also at that time going to make sure that you know the correct pronunciation of the speaker's name and the exact speech title. This is really important. You do not want to mispronounce the speaker's name just before they're about to present their speech. That may throw them off. Last year's contest, we had two contestants whose name was spelled exactly the same way. One was pronounced Andrea, and the other one was pronounced Andrea. And one of them is actually here this evening. I did see her. So please be mindful and be careful. For the chief judge, you're going to brief and these are separate briefings. I'm sure you knew that, but just in case, you want to brief your judges, your counters, and your timers on their job. You're going to distribute any forms that they need, their ballot forms, their counter sheets, and you can do that electronically if you're doing it an electronic contest. You want to collect the judges' certificates of eligibility. Again, digital signatures are acceptable. And ahead of time, but separately, that's why there's that dashed line, you're going to appoint your tie-breaking judge. Again, they'll be known only to you. I keep repeating this because I really want to make sure that sinks in. And they should not attend the briefing with the other contest officials. During the contest chair is going to open the contest. They will welcome the audience. They will inform the audience that the briefing of the contestants and the judges have taken place. They will remind the audience members to turn, or everyone, to turn off their camera and to mute their microphone and to stay such until they are otherwise instructed. They will introduce the contestant, and the way they introduce the contestant will be name, speech title, name. The contestant will then present their speech. Once they have presented the speech, the contest chair will ask for a moment of silence. And they will ask the timer to place a minute on the clock for that silence. During that 1 minute, the voting judges and the tie-breaking judge will complete their ballot. For the judges, don't worry about summing your ballot. You just want to make sure you assign the points, the ranking points in each of the categories. This process will be repeated for each contestant. After the last contestant, the contest chair will ask for silence to allow the judges to fully complete their ballots, sum up their totals, and submit their choices for first, second, and third to the ballot counters. So we're going to take a look at the next part of the process. The judges will submit their first, second, and third place vote choices via the electric form, or if you're in person, the bottom of the ballot form. And that goes to the ballot counters. At the same time, The tie-breaking judge will complete, but on their form, they will rank every single contestant. If there are 8, first through 8th place, and they will submit that ballot to the chief judge. The timer with the stopwatch will complete the timing results form and submit that to the chief judge. The ballot counters will review the ballots. They will then tabulate the ballots. They can do that however they want. They can do it via paper. For me, when I was a ballot counter, I actually did an Excel spreadsheet that had the names of the contestants on one side, the names of the judges across the other way, and we simply filled it in. It had an auto sum, and that's how we did it. Whatever works best for you and your team. Once those results are tabulated, they will be given to the chief judge. And this part with the ballot counters and the chief judge will be in the breakout room or the counting room if you're in person. The chief judge will review the results. He will review the timing results. He will determine if there are any time disqualifications. If any of the contestants are disqualified, he will remove them out of the ranking and everything else will move up. The remaining contestants will move up. If there is a tie, he will then he will take a look at the tie-breaking judge's ballot, and the highest ranked contestant of the 2 tied contestants on the tie-breaking judge's ballot will assume that position, and the other tied person would be ranked immediately below. The chief judge would then confirm the results. He would complete the contest form, and he would submit that form to the contest chair, and the contest chair would then announce the results. The contestant interviews, these will be taking place while the chief judge and the ballot counters are in the breakout room. It's simply an opportunity for the audience to learn a little bit more about the contestants. At the club level, they'll know what club they're the audience will know what club they're representing. So you can ask them some of the questions on some of the information from the contestant profile. This really is also a chance to allow the chief judge and the ballot counters to determine the contest winners. You want to keep the interviews brief. I would say no more than 3 minutes per contestant. As a matter of fact, you may want to instruct the timer to place 3 minutes on the clock and at perhaps 1 minute, a green light goes on, 2 minutes, a yellow, and 3 minutes, a red. So the contestant interviewer knows when to wrap up. We're at the exciting part, announcing the winners. The contest chair must announce any time disqualifications, but they will not name the contestants that were involved in the disqualification. They will announce the results in reverse order. Why? Because we want to build that suspense. We want the contestants and the audience on the edge of their seats. Announcements of the contest winners is final unless they are announced incorrectly. And if they are, the chief judge, the ballot counters, and the timers are the only ones permitted to intervene and correct the error. Post-contest, contest judge, you must complete that notification of contest winner form and submit it to the contest chair of the next level. For the clubs, that's your area director. The chief judge and the contest chair will ensure that all digital and paper files that include information about scoring, contest results, or judging notes are deleted or destroyed. They should not be shared out. I want to quickly touch on protests and disqualifications. We mentioned it in the Cahoots game, and I touched upon it a little earlier, but protests are limited to eligibility, originality, and reference to another contestant's speech. They can only be lodged by the voting judge or contestants. The protest must be lodged to the chief judge or contest chair prior to the contest adjourning. Once the contest adjourning, it's a done deal. Before a contestant can be disqualified based on originality or for referencing another contestant's speech, they have the opportunity to respond to the voting judges. The voting judges, along with the chief judge and the contestant, would go into your breakout room, or if you're in person, the room you use for the counting, and have the opportunity to present their case. Once they do, they would leave the room and the judges would vote. And it would have to be a majority of the judges deciding to disqualify the contestant. The contest chair can disqualify a contestant on the basis of eligibility. Prime example, especially at the district level, if your dues were not paid or your club is no longer in good standing, you can be disqualified. All decisions of voting judges are final. Are there any questions at this point, Rhonda?
Yes, one just came in from Paul. Is
Okay.
there an eligibility tool that also works with pathways? So Paul, you can come off mute, and if you need to elaborate, feel free to do so.
Okay, thank you very much, Rhonda. Yes, there was an eligibility tool that was used back when I guess I was doing all the contests and everything, division and area and all that. But what I wanted to find out is if it had been updated. So you put in a person's name and perhaps their ID number, and the tool would come back and say, yes, they're eligible. It would go check their club, check their payment to make sure they were valid in the club, and then come back. And it was a quick way of verifying the list of contestants that you had to show that they were eligible for the contest.
Paul, I'd like to say that I know the answer to that, but I don't know if they have updated that. I'll have to find out and get back to you on that.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Oh yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be fine. I'm just curious because that will make life a lot easier for a lot of people running contests.
Yes, I will check on that. And if they don't, we will make sure to shout out to Toastmasters International that they need something. They need to put that back into place, because I do remember that being in place when I was doing contests before. But I will find out and get back to you.
And
Thank you.
Paula Beepin just also made a comment that the tool did not work in 2022, at least January and February. So
Oh,
we know that Toastmasters is going through a major overhauls of their technology and systems, and there was some things that just weren't absolutely accurate. So we'll check on that, Paul and Beepin and team.
yeah, because I haven't checked to see if it, I haven't checked the eligibility checker since last year, which, yeah, I do remember it wasn't working. Oh, where am I? Okay. Oh, that was right. I'm just, the timing for the international speech is just like our typical Toastmaster speeches, 5 to 7 minute speech, with green being displayed at 5, yellow at 6, red at 7. I put this in here just to remind you that the signal needs to remain displayed. So when you display the green at 5 minutes, that green signal needs to remain displayed until it's time to put up the yellow. Then the yellow needs to be displayed for that full minute until it's time to put up the red. Once the red signal has been put up or put into place, it needs to remain until the contestant finishes speaking. There is no indication for overtime. And just a reminder, there is that 30-second grace period for those serving as timer, so they can actually speak for 7 minutes and 30 seconds. For the tall tales contest, again, green is displayed at 3 minutes and remains displayed until the yellow is displayed at 4 minutes. The yellow will remain displayed until 5 minutes when the red is displayed, and it remains displayed until the contestant finishes speaking. Again, no signal can be given for overtime, and there is that 30-second grace on either side of the time limit. Special timing considerations, I wanted to touch upon this. If you have a visually impaired contestant, they are allowed to request, and they must be granted a form of warning signal of their own choosing. I highly recommend that you do test this in your contestant briefing, if you have the opportunity, or at least if not, please make sure it is tested before your contest starts. If there is an event of a technical failure of the signaling or timing device, a speaker is granted 30 seconds extra overtime before being disqualified. So that 7.5 minutes becomes 8 minutes. The 5.5 minutes becomes 6 minutes on the international speech contest and the tall tale contest, respectively. Prior to announcing the results, again, this is a repeat, but the contest chair must announce the number of time disqualifications, but not name the contestants involved. Some best practices and tips for online contests. We highly recommend that you have a test session with your technical expert. And this will allow the contest chairperson, the contest toastmaster, the chief judge, and the contest officials the opportunity to better understand the technology that is being used, what settings are available to use, the best way to use it for your contest. You should determine, do you want to use chat and how to set it up? Do you want to use spotlighting? You want to make sure you have your break room set up. Do you need just one for the ballot counter, or do you want to have another one that you allow your contestants to go in? Because some contestants may not want to watch the other contestants. They may ask to be put into a break room. So you may want to have a break room set aside for that. You want to decide if you're going to have your contestants pin the timer, or if you're going to spotlight your contestant. You want to allow renaming so that your judges can be renamed. At the contest level, it doesn't really make that much sense to rename the judges. If it's virtual, everyone's camera is off, nobody can see you taking notes. If you're in person, well, this is technical, so never mind that. But it doesn't really matter, but you can rename, because somebody may not want their name up, their whole name up anyway. Who knows? They may be in witness protection. Best practices for timers. You should have your timer with a virtual background that says timer. It makes them easy to find, and you should have them cover their camera. That way, the contestant is not distracted by any facial expressions, anything going on in their background. You don't want to distract your contestant. Your colored signals, indicator signals, should also have the name of the color written on them. The red should have red written on it, just in case you have contestants that are colorblind. You want to test any special timing devices to ensure they can be heard. And that is there for those who may be visually impaired. And I mentioned they may want they may want you to have a chime that you ring, or they may even want a foghorn, whatever they want, you can give it to them. Audio and visual best practices. Please remind your audience to keep their cameras and their microphones off, the camera off and their microphones muted unless otherwise instructed by the contest chair. And likely you will have to remind people multiple times during the contest because there is always one who turns on their camera or their microphone. You want to determine how to transition from the contest chair to the contestant and then vice versa. One of the ways for a virtual contest, one of the ways you can do that is the contest chair will announce the contestant's name, ask the contestant to turn on their camera and unmute themselves. And then they would ask them, can you see me and can you hear me? When the contestant responds, I can see you and I can hear you, that is the cue to your contest chair that they can go ahead and announce the contestant again, their name, the speech title, name. Once the contestant hears that, they will see the contest chair turn off their camera and they will know that they now have control of the speaking floor. At the end of the contestant's speech, you may ask them to just simply say, Madam Contest Chair or Mr. Contest Chair. And that way you know that the contest chair has the floor. Because every once in a while you may have a speaker who has a pause and then a few seconds later says something else. You want to make sure that you don't interrupt the end of the speaker's speech. Your contestants should have a backup device ready, whether it's their iPad or their tablet, their cell phone, just in case, because you know there's always, whenever you're trying to get something done, there's a update to your system. And please update your Zoom ahead of time as well, so you have access to everything, all the capabilities. The judges should not judge on the quality of the video or the audio. That's out of the control of the contestants. And yes, contestants are required to supply all of their own equipment. Technology issues. You want to determine ahead of time how technology issues will be addressed. The chief judge is responsible for addressing the delays for pausing the contest, but you do want to predetermine ahead of time how much time will be allowed for resolving an issue. And you need to convey that to both the contestants and the judges during the briefing. And you need to make sure if it's if you decide 5 minutes to resolve the technical issue, is that 5 minutes for each contestant, or is that for 5 minutes for each issue? Because one contestant may have several issues. So you need to determine that, because that will delay your contest. And you want to set up chats for communication. You may have not on your Zoom platform, but on your mobile device. So you may have a chat between your chief judge and the judges, the contestants and the chief judge, not all on the same chat, but determine what you need for your contest. If there is a technology failure of the stopwatch or the signal device, again, I mentioned a little earlier, the contestant receives 30 seconds extra time without being disqualified. If a speaker should lose connection while delivering their speech and they regain connection within your pre-designated time allotment, the speaker must resume speaking from the point they left off in their speech when the disconnection occurred. They may not realize when the disconnection occurred, so the contest chair can indicate to that speaker the last word or last sentence heard, so the speaker knows where they lost the connection. I also recommend that you have backup judges, just in case you lose a judge, as well as, if necessary, backup in other positions, because you may lose people as a result of technology. Here are just some resources that you may use. The speech contest rulebook that you saw at the front, the contest materials, the contest kits, they are free to download on the Toastmasters website. That online speech contest training, there are online speech contest training tutorials on the Toastmasters website for all of the contest roles. There are the second pamphlet that I showed on the first slide, the best practices guide. This is the link to that. I also included a couple of articles. One is True Lies. It's about tall tales. And the other is how to write a tall tale speech for a Toastmasters speech contest, just to give you some additional tall tales information. And of course, Rhonda put into chat the video for the tall tales informational session from Cheryl Baker. And with that, I am going to stop my sharing and open up the floor for questions. I hope that I didn't go too basic because I know a lot of you are longtime Toastmasters and you know much of this by like the back of your hand, but we do have some people who this may be their first time, and I really wanted to touch upon that so that they can understand and then review, because there have been some changes. Everybody knows that you cannot use your awards from the legacy educational system to qualify for the International Speech Contest, right? Hands up, whoever knows that. Only Stephanie? Oh, Ben does. You can turn on your cameras if you like. Excellent. Are there any additional questions? Go ahead, ask away.
That's one question. Greg, do you want to vocalize your question or comment?
Yes, thank you. I had a comment that actually came up during my recent club officer meeting regarding gender reference. So what we normally would say, as we would say in a meeting, for example, Mr. Toastmaster, Madam President, those type of things. To be more inclusive, it was suggested that we drop gender references. So instead of saying Mr. President or Mr. or Madam Toastmaster, we would just either drop that, or in a club setting, perhaps just use that person's name. So instead of referring to me as Mr. President, just say President Greg. Or if I'm referring to the VPE, instead of saying Madam VPE, just use VPE Teachey. So when you mention that for the contest, first of all, is that something that's permitted, number one? And number two, for the contest, is that something that would also be permitted to drop the gender reference?
I don't see why not. You could either drop the gender reference, or you could ask someone which reference they would prefer to be called.
Great, thank you.
Mhm. Any other questions? That was a good question, Greg. Thank you for that. No other questions? Well, I must have either I did an outstanding job or you guys are all asleep.
We're not asleep, Paula. So I just want to make a reminder, share a reminder with everyone. I did include the link to our Google Drive for District 38 in the chat. This is where we will share any presentation material that we're making available to you, including this one from Paula. So we're trying to get away from emailing everyone attachments. We want to have a single source of truth. So feel free to reference the Google Drive. everyone should have access to go in there and download some of the content. In addition, we do have the videos posted on our YouTube channel. So those are 2 links that you may want to bookmark and reference as you need to acquire or obtain additional information.
I would like to both thank Rhonda for all that she has done through this training season and in her role as program quality director. She is really bringing the district into this century, into the digital century. So thank you, Rhonda, for that, because it does make it a lot easier for our membership.
My pleasure.
Does anyone else have anything that they would like to contribute? I know there are some. Art, I saw your speaker come off.
Yes, I'm
Come on.
looking on the Google Drive right now under the heading of 2022-23 Club Officer Training. And unless my tired eyes are really tired, I don't see anything here about contests.
We're just holding it. So at
Yes,
the
ma'am.
conclusion,
Oh, this is the first one.
the first one. Yes, I will acquire the presentation from Paula and post it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. All right.
I look forward, and I'm serious. If your club is holding, I'm so excited to see this Tall Tales. We haven't done it in so long that I'm excited to see the creativity of our membership. When your club holds their contest, especially if it is virtual, please send me an invite. And if I can come, I will come. My address is dd@tmdistrict38.org. I would love, and it would be a great opportunity to get to know some more of the membership. We've been so isolated. I feel so isolated these days, but I really would like the opportunity to get to know more of you and hear from you. Again, we are many, our logo, many voices, one team. We want to hear from you what you would like to see to help make the experience even better for our membership. It's about all of us, not me, Rhonda, and Chris. So we're just a figureheads, really. It's all about you guys. So please do reach out.
Paula,
with
thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
I did include the top 3, so invite all of us. You'll
Yes.
probably end up with at least one of us at your contest if we could, if our schedules allow.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out and for training. Remember, this was half of the training. You still need to do your core officer training if you have not done so. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. This concludes our training tonight. Have a good rest of the week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thanks.
week.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Good night.
Everybody.
Good night.
Paula, thank you so much.
My
A
voice
lot of-
lasted.
It did. It did. It did. Let me just stop the recording too.